I've sort of read a story about you going to a party and walking through a window and stuff like that. So you know, are you managing to be cool amongst all these people?
No. That was a party thrown by the comedian Sarah Silverman.
Okay.
And I'd gone there not invited by her. I just went with a friend. And there was, because pot was, I don't know if it was legal at the time, but it was certainly, popular.
Yeah.
And there was some pot brownies. And someone said, do you want some pot brownie? And I thought, yeah, sure, because I'm 6'7", How was that going to affect me? And I ate this pot brownie, and I immediately fell inside myself. My memory is that it was like I was trying to peek out through my own eyes, but I'd sort of shrunken inside myself, and I went and looked in the mirror at myself for a while, because that's the thing you want to do when you're really stoned, is stare into your own soul. And then I sort of remember I went out and I sort of lay down for a bit, but I'm 6'7", so I took up like 3 couches, and people were like moving me out the way. And then someone introduced me to Gary Shandling, the comedian, but I don't remember anything we said. And then the next thing I knew, I thought I'd get some air, and I went to walk outside to get a breath of fresh air. And the next thing I knew, an entire 6-foot plain glass window was smashing all around me. And I was like looking back into the party, and everyone was staring at me, and glass shards were falling around me. And you realize that you don't have any sort of social training for that. Do you know what I mean? You're not, like, what do? Do you just go, ta-da? Like, I had no... And then I just remember, then it's just like snippets. I remember kind of someone ordering me a cab, and then I remember being in the lobby of this apartment block because I was trying to wait for this cab, and then some new arrivals at the party were walking in, and they didn't notice me. I just heard one of them say, hey, did you hear that some asshole just walked through a window? And then I just remember having a gash on my head, and then I remember thinking, oh, it's America, they're going to sue me. So then I wrote an email to Sarah Silverman saying, thanks for the party. Don't know if you noticed, I walked through a window. And really worried she was going to sue me, but she didn't, thankfully.
Did you pay for the window?
Of course not. No, it's not made of money. And then she, but then what was weird is even to this day, I keep meeting people who were there who have seen different versions of it from different angles. So I'm sort of still piecing it together.
Yeah.
Someone told me recently that I tripped on a cable, apparently, a TV kind of, cable plug-in.
Right.
And I tripped and I fell backwards through the window, which is why I wasn't more injured.
Yeah.
And so I keep hearing kind of
Sounds
stories.
to me like you could sue Sarah Silverman.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
I mean, it's likely that could have been it. That could have been the death of Stephen Merchant.
Yeah, or certainly kind of, start up and... So, and that sort of, I suppose, in a way, typified my experience of Hollywood, as you say. Yeah.
I mean,
I think I try to project myself with a cool when I'm there.
Yeah.
Like you reinvent yourself, and then things like that happen, and then you're back to square one.
It is, but it's sort of hard to. I'm from the West Country, and it's hard to imagine West Country people in Hollywood. I say that Cary Grant did okay, but like David Prowse and you, it's hard to imagine. You in a Hollywood party, and that's I don't know if David Prowse, Darth Vader, Green Cross Man. We are getting old, aren't we? Have you noticed that when you do stand up and some of your references are now too old for most people?
Yeah, of course, normal wisdom.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's the accent, right? It's the West Country accent that
it is.
Because that's why people. I saw someone had tweeted recently the David Prowse when he's doing the voice of Darth Vader, and it's I'm your father, Luke, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The legend is he didn't realise he was going to be revoiced by James Earl Jones, and it wasn't until he went to the premiere and he heard that he kind of was heartbroken, which is tragic, isn't it?
It's tragic, and it shouldn't be funny.
No, I know.
No one voice isn't better than another.
But the one thing I've noticed is that in America, people don't notice the accent.
Right.
So they just, as far as they're concerned, I sound like Hugh Grant.
But it's a dream come true. Would it have been when you were thinking I want to be a comedian? Were you thinking, and ultimately I want to go and be in Hollywood blockbusters and be in the movies, or because to me that would have seemed like when I was growing up, I wouldn't have thought, I'll go to Hollywood and be in a Marvel movie. They wouldn't have known what that was in 1977.
Yes.
But that wouldn't have been what I was hoping for. Was that what you
Yeah, I think so.
dreamt of. Yeah.
I think it was just to have experienced it.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think I ever thought I was going to be Harrison Ford, but I thought it'd be nice to go there and
Yeah.
snoop around and
Sure.
be involved and, like you say, do a big budget film and realize that it's really boring and you don't, rush to do it again and, and meet people that you admire and work with people that you admire. And yeah, definitely. But I don't know it's funny you say that because I don't know why I thought that might be achievable.
Yeah.
I think it was the Cleese thing again. I think it was like, well, Cleese had gone off to Hollywood and he'd made films and stuff, and he was in Cheers, I remember.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, he's from Western-super-Mare. Like maybe tall people once in a generation they get that chance. Like I must have had some, because I don't think I was an arrogant kid. I just must have thought that it was worth trying. It's strange, isn't it? Because it is a very arrogant assumption.
It is, but I mean, I think there's a I feel as I look back at the 90s and think, I mean, I was very insecure in a lot of ways, but we just had such confidence that we were the great, that we were the best.
Yeah.
And that everyone else wasn't as good as what we were doing, and And
but were you Cambridge or Oxford?
Oxford.
But
it didn't really come from that. That didn't really because I wasn't public school.
Right.
And so Oxford kind of, again, dimmed my confidence. And I had a terrible time at the Edinburgh Festival as part of the Oxford Review, which actually kind of crushed me.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things I wasn't confident about, but we had that, which I think reading interviews that you had with The Office, which, turned out to be more justified than Fist of Fun. But that you just sort of believed so much in the. I think having a partner in a partnership,
well, that helps,
isn't it? You just
having a partnership, and I think also just the arrogance of youth, isn't it?
Yeah,
like you don't know what you don't know. I mean, we had a meeting, I remember early on with the BBC, and they said, "Oh, this guy's going to be in it we've never heard of, and you're going to write it, and you're going to direct it. Why would we let you do this?" And I remember saying to them, with not a shadow of irony, "We might be the next Orson Welles." But I don't think I was thinking. I wasn't thinking, oh, we're definitely as good as Orson Welles. I think I was thinking, none of us know.
Yeah.
We haven't done anything. We might be.
Yeah.
I think there was that weird, it was like a weird inverse arrogance of like, I'm sort of untried,
Yeah.
But I remember there's a phrase in filming when they start the camera before a take, they say turn over.
Yeah.
And that's just turn over, and that's the sort of terminology. And so I remember on the first day of The Office, we never directed anything. I gave a speech grandly to everybody, and I was like, I know we've never done anything before, but don't worry, we know all the terms. Action, cut, roll over. And the first AD went turnover. I went turnover. So you know what I mean? But obviously we thought we could do, and I think it was very quickly we learned it was not as easy as it seemed.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was like, yeah, of course you should give us a chance. Sure. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And it's in, I think you do need that. I think that there needs to be a sort of belief in yourself. And I think, again, you were trying something that was new. I can sort of imagine, from the similar time with the executives, you definitely go into those meetings knowing you know more about comedy than the person who's going to tell you whether you can do your comedy or not.
Yeah.
So it's there is an element of arrogance there.